Ben Yishai is another name for David HaMelech. That he's a son of Yishai. David's father, his name was Yishai. So when you talk about David HaMelech or you talk about Mashiach, we say he's a descendant of Yishai. Thank you. Number 33, V'nigla Kvod Hashem. What does that mean? I know you all know the answers. You're just being very humble, okay? What can I do? That's also a very big quality. I'm very proud, okay? The Nigla Kvod Hashem means, and the glory of Hashem, the beauty of Hashem will be revealed. Remember, we've said numerous times that even though when Mashiach comes, there'll be so many different good things that'll happen, but the main thing and the essence and what everything revolves around is that when Mashiach comes, Hashem's presence will be revealed in the world like it never was before. And that's in these words, V'nigla Kvod Hashem. I'm going to jump for a second because it's similar. Number 36. Umala haaretz deya es Hashem. We just learned about this when we were doing Rambam. The last words in the Rambam is this pasuk, and it means, and the world will be filled with knowledge of Hashem. Again, this is emphasizing of what's going to happen when Mashiach comes, that the whole world will be filled with knowledge of Hashem, will know about Hashem in a way like we've never known before. Okay, let me go back to 34. Chevli Mashiach. What does that mean? I know you would know what the word Mashiach means, but what is Chevli Mashiach? Okay. So in Gemara, based on different sukkim in Tanakh, it says that just like a woman who gives birth, even though giving birth is a joy, a baby is born, it's new life, and it brings such joy to the family, but it comes along with labor pain. When Mashiach will come, on one hand, it'll be the most joyous time in history, but leading up to it will be a time of suffering, and that suffering is called Chevlei Mashiach, which means the labor pain of Mashiach, the labor pain that will lead to Mashiach's coming, which is one of the reasons why everybody, all the tzaddikim, when they spoke about the time we're living in, especially referring to the Holocaust, that these are the things that have been predicted in the prophecies, that we'll go through a very difficult time before Mashiach's coming. Number 35. Yahavchu hayamim ha'elu l'sasen or l'simcha. Please, somebody. Abrahmanis. What does it mean?
The days will turn into days of joy and happiness.
Which days?
The sad days.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much. See, if you beg hard enough, that happens. It means that the days which are now sad days, Tisha B'Av, Shivasa B'Tammuz, Asara B'Teves, Tzad Gedalia, these are days where we fast and we mourn this destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. When Mashiach comes, not only we won't be mourning and fasting, Yahavchu, these days will be transformed into days of joy and celebration. It'll be like a yontif. Number 37, Yitaka b'shofar gadol. What's that?
Well, they will blow the shofar. When Mashiach will come, we're going to hear the shofar. Huh?
That's all no.
Yeah.
Right. When Mashiach will come, we're going to hear a big shofar. And the reason why it's a big shofar is because this is a shofar that's going to have an impact on the whole world. In fact, we have this in the davening, right? In Shemona Esrei. What does it say the shofar will lead to? In Shemona Esrei, in the Amidah? What? And then all the Jews will gather together and come back to Eretz Yisrael, to the Beis Hamikdash, and that's because Hashem will, so to speak, blow the shofar. Number 38, Vashiva Sheftayech Kvarishayna. This is also in the Amidah. What does it mean?
The judges will return.
The judges will return. What is it referring to? We have judges today.
Right. Good judges, righteous judges.
Right. Good judges, righteous judges, but more than anything else, the Sanhedrin. In the times of the Beis Hamikdash, there were a lot of judges, but the greatest sages, the greatest tzaddikim, the greatest Torah scholars of the generation were the ones that were chosen to be part of the Sanhedrin. Sanhedrin was the supreme Bezdin of all the Jewish nation, and they were in the Beis Hamikdash, and there were 71 sages. So when Mashiach comes, we'll have that back again. Number 39, Vesruach Hatuma Aver Min Haaretz. The spirit,
Spirit of impurity.
Right,
will be like pushed from the land.
Right. The spirit of impurity will be taken away, which means there will no longer be a Yetzer Hara. People won't have a desire to do an Aveira. But you still have fun, don't worry. Yeah. Number 40, Goy Umagoy.
The war.
Right. That's a prophecy about a war that's going to take place before Mashiach comes. When we learned about it, I explained that there are a lot of commentary on this. Number one, who are these nations? Gog and Magog, we don't know who they are today. Number two, some opinions say it happened already. Some opinions say it doesn't have to happen physically. It could happen in some sort of a metaphoric way. But it's a war between two nations. One is called Gog, one is called Magog, and this will be preceding the coming of Mashiach. And where we find this is in Tanakh, in the books of the prophets. It talks about this war. Number 41. It's like
going out of Egypt, we're going to have the same miracles.
Right. Just like we saw miracles when we went out of Egypt, we'll also have miracles when Mashiach comes. And in fact, Mefarshim, commentators say, not only will have miracles, it'll also be similar. The miracles in the times of Mashiach and the process in the times of Mashiach, in many ways, will be similar to the process of Yidden going out of Mitzrayim. Number 42, La'avdei Kulam Shchem Echad.
We'll all work together as one.
Who's it referring to? Who's the all?
Like all the nations.
Right. In other words, it's a passage that talks about the nations. That when Mashiach comes, all the nations will work together. It means, Shchem means shoulder to shoulder. We'll work together. It means all the nations will serve Hashem. There won't be any idols. There won't be any avodah zarah, and so on. Number 43, something you say in davening every day. And just yesterday in class, what's today, Wednesday, 2 days ago, on Monday, we learned about it. V'haya b'yayim hahu yiyeh Hashem echad u'shmei echad. What does that mean?
I'm not saying Hashem will be one, his name will be one.
What does it mean he'll be one? Isn't he one right now?
Other people will recognize it.
Right. In other words, Hashem is one, of course. But right now, he's not one. Not everybody accepts Hashem. There are nations that don't accept Hashem. Mashiach will come, everybody will accept Hashem, and that's what it means. He will be one, and his name will be one. Okay, so we covered this. Again, these are all things which we learned throughout the year. This is just a review to get to recognize the terms. We have another 10, 12 to go. Okay, now we're going to work on another thing. I don't know if I have enough copies, but let me get this out. Thank you. I have some more. Okay. So again, we're talking about the subject of Mashiach. Understand more what it's about. But more than anything else, it's not just to understand, but by learning about it, it's to strengthen our emun in Mashiach, our belief in Mashiach. And then what's more is that by learning about it, we'll also learn about what we can do to make Mashiach's coming sooner. Is one of the main things that we learned about, that even though Mashiach is something that's so phenomenal, it's changing the whole world, changing all the nations, changing everything in a way like it never happened before in the history since the beginning of creation. So I would think this is something which is just in the hands of Hashem. We have to sit back and sort of wait to see how and when things will evolve. But the truth is, no, we are capable, we have the power to make it happen sooner. And how do we do that? So we learned a number of things. Number one was, in general, Torah and mitzvahs. Any act of a mitzvah, any Torah that's studied, anything good that's done is like bringing more light in the world. The more light you bring, there's less darkness, and that brings Mashiach coming sooner. Then there's certain mitzvahs that it says in Gemara or in other sources that these mitzvahs specifically have in them the property to make Mashiach's coming sooner. One of them is tzedakah. Another one is Ahavas Yisrael. And more that we learned about on the way. Yeah.
So for example, we say bringing more light to the world, Mashiach will come sooner.
Yeah.
But I think we do the same as our ancestors. Like we don't do more or less. We just do the same because are the same mitzvot, and that doesn't change our. And for example, yesterday that we talked about war. I think the war between, for example, Israel and Palestine, like, I don't know, like, it's like, will take a long time to see, like, the end of that war, or same with Russia and Ukraine, like, I don't see it's more light in the world, like, at opposite, I see, like, more fight, and they say, like, would say that a lot, yeah, it's true, but it's kind of like the same what we used to do since years and years ago.
So there's two answers to that question, as usual. One answer is that when we say to do more, that'll bring Mashiach, and you say, but we're doing the same thing that they did. But what we're doing now, remember, I don't know if you do remember, because this was again in the beginning of the year before a few of you were here, that it says that how is it possible that we could bring Mashiach when people who lived before us were so much greater? They were like giants, tzaddikim, and they're the ones who wrote the Gemara and all the other great Torah scholars, Rambam, Rashi, and they couldn't bring Mashiach. And we little people, we're going to bring Mashiach. Isn't that arrogance?
Yeah.
Anyone remember the answer? Yeah?
I'm not sure if it's the answer, but I had a question.
Oh, I have a question?
Similar. No, I
Yeah.
had a question similar to this maybe like a week or so ago
Which is?
that I asked. It was that like in today's day and age, there's so much hate for fellow Jews.
I mean,
that-
similar to her question.
Yeah,
Right.
it was so much hate. How come everyone's like, oh, Mashiach's coming soon? And you said that it's because the mitzvahs and the good deeds are added up and they weigh more heavily than the bad things.
Right.
And they're collected over the years.
Right.
And then,
I'll explain. That's exactly what I said. That it's accumulative. In other words, any mitzvah that was done by even one single person 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, is still in effect, and more mitzvah done, it accumulates and accumulates and accumulates. So when we do good deeds, it's not just what I'm doing. This is on top of everything that was done for thousands of years by thousands and millions of people. All the good that was done, finally, it's like there's an expression in English, the last straw that broke the camel's back. You know what that means? No? Say it in Spanish. Okay. So it means that on the camel's back, there's a load, there's heavy things. And then on top of that, you put something else. And the other thing, you put one more thing, boom. What happened? I just put a little thing. Yeah, but after you put all that, this one little thing makes it break. In a person, for example, a person's upset. A person, something happened, they're sad. But okay, they're managing. And then another thing happens that they fall apart. But this was a little thing. Yeah, but this little thing came after so many different little things. And now it's same with mitzvahs. All the good that was done from the beginning of time, all the mitzvahs, all the Torah, everything piles up. And now when we just do one more mitzvah, that could be the last thing that sort of breaks the Geulah and brings Mashiach. That's the point. What about the negative things that were done for thousands of years?
Yeah.
So the negative things that we did, our parents or great-grandparents did, negative things get erased. They get erased through tshuva. They get erased because the people went through a process, whether they were suffering or after the soul goes up and they go through a difficult time, that erases it. Negative things are not eternal. It's klipa. It's not something which stays. So that gets erased. The good is something from Hashem, so it's always there, piles up. And the mashal, that's the famous mashal that everyone uses, is like a little midget. A midget is a little person that's very short. And that little short person stands on the top of the shoulders of a giant. So you have a giant who's as big as the Empire State Building, and on top of him is a little person. Guess what? The little person could see further than the giant. How's that possible? A little guy like this could see further than the giant? The answer is yes, because a little person is standing on the giant's shoulder, not because the little person is bigger than the giant. It's because of the giant. So basically, we are standing on the shoulders of all the people that lived before us, and all the good that was done, and all the great things that were done by all the great tzaddikim. Now we're the little people, and we stand on top of their shoulders with the little thing. I gave another mashal, which is a little bit more modern. Think of technology. You have a computer. Now you have something called artificial intelligence. You want to write a story. You want to write a poem. A little child of 10 years old will go on a computer, you press something in, you say, I want a poem on this subject. In seconds, you have a poem. Brilliant poem. Unbelievable. A mathematician has a very difficult question. It goes on the computer. A little kid, 10 years old, goes on the computer. In 2 minutes, the answer is there. Years ago, it would take 20 mathematicians to spend 5 weeks or 5 months, maybe, to figure it out. Scientists. How could it be that a little kid could do things that the biggest brilliant people can do?
So that's ChatGPT and Mashiach.
So the answer is, no, the answer is because there were brilliant people, scientists, one scientist, more scientists, and all these brilliant people together, they created this brilliant piece of technology, which is a computer, and all the functioning of a computer. And now, once it's done, a little kid, all you need is a finger, and you press and click on a button here and a over there, and you can do things that the most brilliant people couldn't do. You can get information. You know, today there's a thing that they have every single book of Torah, every single book, which is probably close to 100,000 books, which means billions of pages of Torah. Every book that there is on it's a website. If I'm looking for something, I do a search, and the search goes through all these books.
What's the name of the website?
It's not a website. I shouldn't say it's a website. You have to buy it. It's something that costs a lot of money. It's called, I think, Eitzer Yisrael. I think. I'm not sure. But it's amazing. Why is it amazing? Because years ago, it would take people who knows how long to search one thing. You have to go to the library, open every book, and look here and look there. And today, a little kid puts in a word, gives a click on a button, and in a second, he can find it in 20 different places, 100 different places. So it's not because he's smarter. It's because all the smart people created this. Now, all I need is a finger. Same thing with us. After all the generations of great tzaddikim doing all the amazing things, now all I do is one more mitzvah, one more learning, one more good deed, one more Ahavas Yisrael, one more act of kindness, and that could bring Mashiach.
Okay, but I mean, I don't want to sound not optimistic, but our generation will be like in 100 years.
No.
No.
The message of the Rebbe is that it's now, it's soon, it's imminent, not in 100 years from now. And based on all the different sources, of course. But the second thing is, when you say, I don't see the world as any better than before, it depends where you look. A person could be riding on a train. If you look out through this window, you see beautiful grass and trees and the beautiful, beautiful mountains. It's amazing. You look on the other side of the window and you see garbage and you see holes and you see who knows what. If you want to feel better, you look on this side. You want to feel bad, you look on that side. In life, in general, that's part, we choose where to look at.
Yeah,
So,
but I cannot say I live in Ground Heights.
No. I want you to know there are hundreds of books today. Someone sent me, probably about 10 of them in my office downstairs. Books to show how the world today is better than it ever was in the history ever, in terms of poverty, in terms of life, medically. I mean, when was there a time that if a person's heart could be transplanted, a lung could be transplanted, people who doctors say you can't have any children can do a procedure and now they can have children. There are hundreds of thousands of people alive today because of new procedures which we never knew before. And so many more things, there's a long list, but people don't pay attention to that. It's not on the news. The news is only bad things. Something which is good does not belong on the news. It's not news, only negative things, unfortunately. But there are so many things, both physically and spiritually. Today, if a person wants to study Torah, and they live in an island somewhere, they live in a place where there's no yeshiva, there's no classes, no rabbis, what can they do? You go on the computer. You can have a share in halacha, a share in chumash, a share in shulchan aruch, a share in chassidus. You can have a class on any subject of Torah you want. You can speak to the Torah rabbi. This was never possible before. So both, and there are many people today that their involvement in Judaism came from the computer. They heard something on the computer and that's what changed their life. So basically, both spiritually and physically, there's a lot of good. On the other hand, there's also a lot of the opposite, true. So what we're saying is that so much good was done, and now if we add in more good, we can bring Mashiach. Yes, there are negative things happening also because it didn't happen yet. And there's more reasons why we see these negative things today, which it'll be too long to go into. Maybe one-on-one I can explain you the other reasons as well. But also, if we just would look at certain things in the world that go on today, do you know that today they can create organs with a computer? Do you understand what that means? It's unbelievable. So people have no hope in life. Today, their life is very different. And again, there's all sorts of lists. I can show it to you that percentage-wise, where they took, statistics, how many people like this or like that, in so many areas that today it's infinitely better than anything it ever was in the time of history. Today there's maybe 4% this way, and years ago it was 89% the opposite in so many areas. Even in terms of wars, we had this fighting here, fighting there. Do you know how many people years ago were killed through wars regularly? Yeah. You can't even think of the numbers. Today, you can't even compare. Yes, there's a war here and there. It makes a lot of noise, but you can't compare these numbers to what used to go on in the world for thousands of years. So there is many areas where we do see the world is very different. Anyway, it's also connected to the subject that I didn't get off the ground yet, and that is, how do you bring Mashiach through Simcha, and why Mashiach is through Simcha? So let's do this, which means just Simcha itself, being the Simcha, is one of the things that hasten the coming of Mashiach. I have to confess, it comes out of my book, but this is not my book. This is actually a Sikha of the Rebbe. It was translated in English. So that's why I'm using this. The Rebbe said this in 1988, speaking about how Simcha brings Mashiach. Let me first give some points and then we'll do it inside. How do you spell the word Simcha in Hebrew?
Shin.
Let me write it down. Oops, we have a lot of company here.
Yeah, I'm here.
This is the word Simcha. Shin, Mem, Ches, Hey. How do you spell Moshiach? Mem, Shin, Ches.
Wow.
This is Shin, this is Mem, this is Ches.
And the Hey is Hashem.
Okay, we'll say that. But in other words, the primary letters in this word is Shin, Mem, Ches. Here it spells Sameach, which means to be happy. Here it spells Mashiach. This also has a Yud, which is Mashiach. But the main letters, because this can be spelled without a Yud also, is Mashiach and Sameach. What's the connection? So there's a few ways of connecting it. First of all, the only time that there will be true Simcha in the world, true happiness, is really when Mashiach comes. Until Mashiach comes, there can't be true and complete Simcha, because there's so much pain, suffering. And even a person that has everything that they need financially, but sometimes they're not healthy. And a person is perfectly healthy is lacking financially. If he has health and he has finances, he might have problems in his relationship with his spouse. If that's good, he might have problems with his children. He doesn't have children, he does have children. And if he has this and he has that, there's something else which is going wrong, their neighbor, some aggravation. And if everything is perfect, which is who has that, everything is perfect, but how can I be happy when my friend, my brother, my sister, my cousin is suffering one way or another? It's impossible. The only time there can be complete simcha is once Mashiach comes. That's number one. We'll soon see this inside, but I just want to explain it and then later we'll do inside. So that's one reason that simply on a simple level, true simcha can only be once Mashiach comes. Another thing is, one of the things it says about simcha, about joy, is there's a phrase in Hebrew, simcha parades geder. Anyone familiar with that?
Joy breaks all barriers.
Right. Joy breaks barriers. When a person is happy and is uplifted in good spirits, it breaks barriers. There's certain barriers we have in life, whether it's barriers between me and another person, between me and my friend, between me and my spouse, between me and my parents, between me and my children. But if, let's say there's a simcha and everybody's very happy, somehow, oh, forget about it, let's forgive. You feel like the barriers just melt. Also on a personal level, that usually we all personally have barriers, certain things that I could do, certain things I'm afraid to do, I'm intimidated, I'm shy. But when a person is very much besimcha, they're in a very high spirits, then a lot of the things that normally bother them don't bother them anymore. Oh, I don't care. Why? Because simcha has in it a nature that it breaks barriers. So, in reference to Mashiach, it also uses the term that Mashiach is called Poretz, the same word, Pei Vav Reish Tzadik. In fact, that's the connection between the word Mashiach and Paratzta. Where do we find this in Chumash? Mashiach is a descendant from which tribe? Yehuda. So Yehuda had two children. They were twins. One name was, anyone remember from the Chumash? One was called Peretz. And basically two twins were born, like twins are born, but this child, Peretz, was really supposed to be born the second one. And this baby pushed ahead and was born the first one. So in the Chumash he said, Lama paratzta lecha Peretz. Why did you break the rules, so to speak? And because of that, he gave him a name, Peretz. The word Peretz in Hebrew is the same word, like we said before, Simcha Peretz Geder. Because this person is the ancestor of Mashiach, and Mashiach will be breaking the barriers, all the limitations, the barriers that we know now in the world. The fact that there's barriers between nations, barriers between Yidden and other Jinn, barriers between us and Hashem, the barriers that exist in the natural world, that things are so, we have certain limitations. When Mashiach comes, those barriers will be broken. We'll be able to, we won't have those things standing in the way anymore. So therefore, Mashiach and Simcha are also two things that very much have the same nature of breaking barriers, taking away barriers, making the barriers melt and going beyond those barriers. You follow that one? I just want to write the words in the Hebrew, so again, you'll see the connection. This is the Hebrew phrase. Simcha, in Hebrew it's poretz, pei, vav, urej, tzadik. Poretz means breaks, gather. Gather means barriers. The name of the child that was born, that's the father of David HaMelech and Mashiach, his name is Peretz. Pei, look, it's the same letters. Pei, Reish, and Tzadik.
Simcha, you broke what? And
Simcha takes down barriers. A barrier, what's a barrier in Spanish?
barriera.
Portuguese? Barrier. I make up my own language here. Okay.
And what with the second son? Is that another
Zerach. What? No. It was a different son. So let's look at this inside. Look at page 108. Wait a second. No, maybe we can start with the first page. 1 second. No, let's go to the first page. Sorry, 107. They give an introduction, but I want to start with the Rebbe Sivan. The concept of Simcha, this is what I just told you. The concept of Simcha shares a connection to the future redemption. For it is in the era of the redemption that we will experience the consummate level of Simcha, the complete level of Simcha. At that time, all undesirable influences will be negated. Like it says in the Pasuk, there's a Pasuk, in Hebrew it's Umacha Hashem Dima Me'al Kol Panim. Hashem will wipe away tears from every face. There will be no tears. Nobody will be crying because there'll be nothing to cry about. There'll only be good. Indeed, all the negative influences will be transformed into good. Let's turn the page. This will greatly increase the simcha we will experience, enabling it to reach the perfection. Therefore, the returnees to Eretz Yisrael, when Yidden will go back to Eretz Yisrael with Mashiach, there's a pasuk that says it'll be crowned with eternal joy. Simchas Olam al Reshon. It means the relationship between the concept of simcha and redemption is also alluded to by the fact that the root The word simcha, see the Hebrew, and the word Mashiach share the same three letters, shin, mem, ches. To explain the connection between the two, simcha breaks through poretzes, all barriers. This is also the nature of Mashiach. He's a descendant of Peretz and is referred to as HaPoretz, the one who breaks through barriers. Where do we find that? In Tanakh, there's a pasuk where it says, the one who breaks through will ascend before them. Mashiach, meaning he's the one who breaks through barriers. There's a pasuk, Tzion, there are no one who seek her out. So the Gemara says this means that we should seek her out, which implying that we can't just be complacent. We have to demand Geulah. We have to beg Hashem to send Mashiach. Similarly, we must seek out joy, including the ultimate joy, the joy of redemption, which means we must ask of Hashem that He gives us perfect joy the way it's going to be when Mashiach comes. Therefore, after the following suggestion and request, that we now increase our rejoicing with intent of actually bringing Mashiach and the true ultimate redemption. Of course, one can say, how do you mean increase joy? How do you increase joy? Either you're happy or you're not happy. So we have a lot to talk about this subject. In fact, you can talk about it forever. But the general answer is, like I said before, it depends where you look. Every morning when we wake up in the morning, we say, thank you, Hashem, for giving me eyes. I'm healthy. Thank you, Hashem, for giving me feet. Thank you, Hashem. Basically, I'm thanking Hashem for so many things in the morning, and yet the person could be very sad because we don't really appreciate the good, and we look right away at what went wrong. If we would focus more on the good and the brachas, the blessings that we have, that's one of the ways of increasing joy. So I want you to remember, I know this is one of the last classes of the year, and there's a lot of things that you're learning, but one of the things is very important, try to remember this. Try to remember that I told you to try to remember. And that is that we can't command the heart to feel a certain way. But there's one thing that controls the heart, and that's the head. What I'm thinking up here will reflect down here like a mirror. I can't change things in the mirror. But if I stand in front of the mirror and I pick up my hand, then that person in the mirror is going to pick up their hand also. If I put my hand down, then the person in the mirror is going to put their hand down. What a miracle. If I sit down, the person in the mirror is going to sit. Everything I do, the person in the mirror is going to do. The heart is like a mirror of the brain. If I'm thinking about positive things, my heart will feel positive. And if I'm thinking about negative things, my heart will feel negative. So really, the heart we can't control, but the head we could control. What am I thinking about? What am I focusing on? So therefore, if a person is going to spend every day reading Holocaust stories about how people were tortured by the Nazis, and then at the end of the day, I wonder why I'm in a bad mood. I can't understand. Why am I in such a bad mood? If you read such stories and you think about that, of course you'll be in a bad mood. So a person, it's not that chas v'shalom, we shouldn't know what happened, but we can't focus on those things because those will bring us down. So we need to focus on the good, on the blessings, on the things that are really tremendous blessings that Hashem gave us. And of course, as a Yid, we should be focusing on the fact that I'm so fortunate that I have Torah, that I have mitzvahs, I have a relationship with Hashem, and there's so much to focus on. And if we do that, it'll bring simcha. And simcha brings Mashiach because of what's explained here. So the Rebbe goes into this long list of things that were done in the past to bring Mashiach. And then he said, and still it didn't bring Mashiach. So now the new thing we should focus on is simcha. And that's why you see the Rebbe always watch a video. The Rebbe always encourages singing by the Farbrengen, before the Farbrengen, when he walked in, always as much as possible to emphasize simcha. And this joy in simcha is not empty, just dancing and singing. You're dancing and singing because you recognize the blessings that we have from Hashem. We're dancing and singing because we're confident that Mashiach is coming. We're dancing and singing because we have bitachon, we have confidence that Hashem will give me blessing in the future. So it's a simcha that comes from content, something that, not like people who, God forbid, just drink and they get happy. or God forbid, take drugs and they get happy. That's not simcha. That's foolishness, and that's worse. That's destructive. We're talking about simcha that has meaning, has content, has depth, and that comes from thinking about good things and things that have meaning, and that makes a person uplifted in the simcha. So first, the Rebbe will talk about how close we are to Mashiach and how other things brought us to this point, and that how simcha is sort of one of the last things that we need to do to make it happen in actuality. And I guess we'll stop here and we'll continue on Friday, Mitzvah Shem. Okay.
Gracias.